Hey guys, I thought I'd join in for this little Vlogmas for the community Vlogmas that Mirth and Reverence or Annie started. I thought it would be interesting to see how far I can go because it's been a while. I've been quiet on my personal channel. I've been doing stuff on my Coven channel, which is COCT Coven. We do witches and wine. But I've been very quiet on my personal channel. Just time and life and all that, but thought, this is a good opportunity to kind of get back into things. So I figured I'd start for December. And today's topic is the land you live on. So I'm going to see if this will keep recording when I swap sides. No, it won't. But that's okay. So we have the land I live on at this time of year I don't think it's all that pretty. Personally, I don't think it's all that pretty. So this is going just beyond the property line, but we have a field. There's trees, lilac bushes. You might even see Boba, that's the neighbor's cat. I don't think it's all that exceptionally pretty. This time of year, often enough, we have snow. We haven't really had a high snow year yet, which I personally am grateful for because I'm not a huge fan of the snow. I think it's pretty. I don't mind it as long as I don't have to travel in it, but it's just not my favorite thing, and I absolutely really dislike the cold. Today it's not too bad, but it's not great either. The cool thing about the land I live on is this has been a family property for, I think 5, maybe we might be going on the 6th generation. My great-grandparents bought it, moved over here from, I believe, Ohio, and they remodeled a barn. It was an old, like, grain barn, and it is now a house. And they sort of fixed up our house. Our house is definitely a fixer-upper. It requires a lot of work. It needs paint. It needs siding. Most of it's cosmetic stuff. There are a couple of bigger issues with it, but we're working on those. The downside is with that many people means we have collected a lot of stuff. So in the back 40 is like the junkyard. Know how much you guys saw. Do this awesome gate. This is a spot I have plans to do like a ritual space. It just hasn't happened yet because the spot in the middle used to be a pool, and it has collected twigs and stuff, and that has to settle before it can be mowed, and then that'll be fun. What is cool about where I live is that we follow very closely with what the Wiccan Wheel of the Year is. So we have a bunch, not us personally, but around us. You cannot see them from here, but down the road a ways there are cows. Many of the cows are pregnant. They bought a herd that has baby cows with them. They bred them on a different time frame than what we're used to because baby cows end up being dropped. They'll start very soon, and then they will continue dropping until Beltane. You see the last ones, the stragglers, but they come in heavy around Imbolc, and it's really, really cool. It means that Lammas is our grain harvest, and there's lots of wheat that is done. Here is the section. It is this is our garden in the winter. It has not been cleaned up. There is stuff planted. My daughter's been working on that. We have garlic in there now that's got to overwinter. It's a work in progress. Most of my living arrangements and spaces are works in progress at the moment. We just got our living room painted. So that's 1 out of, 5 rooms that need to be painted. This is a cool feature. These trees, sorry it's kind of rambly, but that's what these are for, right? These 3 cottonwood trees. That's the baby tree, as I call it. I'll walk over here. This is the one I call Mama Tree. We had a windstorm that broke that branch and that got sawed off a couple years ago. That one was my personal favorite because it was the one I was able to climb as a kid. And then I grew to liking, this one is my favorite, which is the Daddy Tree, as I call it. And this one's cool because it has a hive of wild honeybees. So I'm trying to hopefully catch a swarm. They haven't swarmed. They didn't swarm this last season. But I'm hoping to get a swarm off of that tree beehive to put in the beehive that you guys probably saw earlier. Right now it doesn't have anything in it. But, well, it has wax. It has beeswax in there so that when bees decide to move in, they can start making honey. But that's all that's there now. I don't think it's all that pretty. There are a couple areas that I wouldn't mind showing, but I don't really want to get a call on my phone while I'm trying to record. What are you doing walking around outside? It's cold out there. I don't want to explain. That's the land I live on. There are pros and cons to it. I wish we had, I'd rather have like a little bit more foresty area. I have these beautiful trees and they're awesome, but I wouldn't mind having like a little spot with some evergreens or something. I suppose if I did it right, I'd have to move stuff. So we had a little compost pile that we have. This little section is kind of fun. That was our compost. That used to be a bench. And the bench was just concrete and like pebbles, and the winters here are a lot of, well, not so much the winters, but there's a lot of freeze thaw. We're the pothole city. We get a lot of potholes in this area. So the crumbling thing that happens when things freeze and then thaw and then freeze and then thaw. So eventually that bench just disintegrated. It was really interesting. There's a lot of things I like about it. A lot of things I don't like about it. The cottonwoods try and invade everything. It hasn't been mowed because in the summer this section doesn't get a lot of water. So the grass kind of still grows, but it slows down a lot. So we don't have to mow as much, and so the cottonwoods didn't get cut down with the mower like they normally do. And we have, it's hard to find the time to actually get out here too much and do the gardening that I'd like to, because I'm doing other things. But I do have plans. We actually missed our hop harvest this year because we forgot. And I'm pacing back and forth with hops. Some tree that I have no idea what it is. There's hops. Another tree. There are other things that I didn't plant here. There's some garlic. I found another spot of garlic. My uncle's ex-girlfriend put a lot of stuff in here because she was into horticulture, and it was not kept up on for many years, and now I'm kind of trying to reclaim it, but it's not an easy process trying to reclaim it all. And at this time of year, it just doesn't look pretty. It just doesn't. I have a little asparagus patch that I've started. These are peony bushes that they'll come back in the spring, but they always die back. Anyway, I think that covers just about everything of the land I live in for a little bit of a vlog. Fun parts. We are on a main road, but it is rural. So we do get some traffic, but not a ton. I need to refill my bird feeders. So as far as spiritual practice, I come out. We do a lot of stuff with the bee tree. The bee tree tends to be the spot where we do offerings of that kind of sorts. The cottonwoods play a fairly central part there for us. The rest is just using the yard and that kind of stuff. I do have some cool snow that's still there from a while back. We have some yarrow that grows wild, and that's kind of cool. We get a lot of pineapple weed, so I would like to figure out, perhaps with my daughter, because she's currently going to school for some of that kind of stuff. She's going greenhouse management, a little bit different. It's still horticulture, but it's not quite as in depth, but she did learn some of the wild plants that we have. And I found yarrow here, and I found pineapple weed, and of course we get dandelions. But I'd love to get to know more, because we have that whole field I showed you. The other two fields that surround us, because we have the road, field. This field over here and the field that's over behind me are generally wheat fields, winter wheat, winter wheat is harvested in August here. So it really lines up with Lunasaw, which is really fun. Sort of walking back there, but that goes back through the junkyard, and I don't know if I really am up for being all that cold. It's cool. We get different animals, rabbits. There's been a bald eagle that will come and perch on top of the big tree back there, the bee tree, because that's the highest point. Owls. I think we've seen a fox, or we believe it was a fox. We actually saw a den back here somewhere. The kids did. And it wasn't a badger. We do get badgers. Garter snakes we see a lot of, especially around hatching season. A couple of years ago, my uncle had found a bull snake and brought it. It was released after a time, but my son kept it for a little bit, kind of outside during the season because it was young. But it's a lot we have together. This is my grandparents own it. My great grandparents sold it to them. We're kind of working towards getting into a spot of owning part of it as well. But it's a long-term goal. It's a lot. We got 5 acres though with the combination. I think it's not quite 2.5 and 2.5 because it's 2 properties that are actually combined, but they've been owned by my family. So that is what it is. That's just what we have here. Show you the field. You can see some of the wildflowers that grow. I don't believe those were the yarrow, but there was yarrow in here. And this field is just fallow. they leave it. So that's why I'd love to figure out what plants we have, because it would be really nice to actually use what I have around me. I just think it'd be really cool. Like here, I did find some. It's hibernating, but there's, I believe that's the yarrow. There's a lot of it. There used to be like a trail road that went down that way. It hasn't really been super, no one uses it really. This is the back field, the western field. It is wheat. It has been harvested. Doesn't have much there. But I did find, here we go, pineapple weed. Totally dead pineapple weed. It's handy. You can use it for a lot of things. But it's nice to know the things we have around us. I just don't feel like I utilize it to the best of its potential. But we're trying to get better about that. So I think I'm going to go back inside, get this video uploaded, and that'll be my vlog for Vlogmas Day 1. I'll see you tomorrow. Bye.